There's no place like home. I mean, no place, child.
When I make my way home. 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 When I make my way home.
I'm coming straight out of Jersey, born and raised, Essex County to be exact. Orange Memorial, my origin, from there we went to EO. Where I started my life was there. When I was 5 years old, my mom moved to the Clare. I'm still there. Not only that, Montclair is where I met C. Scott, courtesy of T-Bone. Rest in peace. From Big Sis Fat Cat, he lived across the street. That was decades before Moran and his dope beats. That's why I'm very happy to tell you about my home, the Garden State, and you know we great. From the highest point down to Cape May, back up top to Sussex, then Essex, Passaic, Bergen, Hudson, Union, Monmouth. Leave Jersey, I'll be damned if I do.
In the area that we grew up in, it was, you know, it was crazy. You know, it was around the crack era.
I stay true blue. Jersey, 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 I stay true blue.
Whether north or south, east or west, no question or a doubt, my state's the best. We're the whole entire planet packed in one small state. Brick City is the biggest city there. The capital is Trenton. We stay representing. Come chill at the Jersey Shore, Long Branch, Asbury Park, Bradley Beach, Wildwood, or Atlantic City. Try your luck at casino or play the boardwalk. Me, I need a fly Jersey guy with me, so we can take over the state like Murphy, Philly. Ha, I mean that in a good way. I love me some NJ. Oh, you from Jersey too? Neato. We got Lauryn Hill, Big Shaq, Dan DeVito, Bruce Springsteen, the late great Whitney Houston, Queen Latifah, C. Scott, me and my son. Not my son, but my son, Deshaun J. And we from NJ, number one.
Jersey, I stay true blue. 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 Jersey, I stay true blue.
Yo, Scott, get him.
This is WHCR 90.3 FM. You're listening to PJ Show, and I'm your host, Pojanee PJ Fleury. And we're joined by our segment host this morning, Malachi Knowledge God Allah, to let us know what's going on, what's been going on recently in Harlem. Welcome back.
Yes, peace. Thank you very much. Things been going great in Harlem, as we call Mecca. You know what I'm saying? For this whole entire month, basically, there's been a few events going on. Of course, you know that Juneteenth was recognized here, and several different people having events as well. And also the second weekend of June, we had the 5%ers had the annual Show and Prove, which is actually the 54th Show and Prove, which is the anniversary of when the founder, Allah the Father, was assassinated. Actually, well, he was assassinated in 1969, but the Show and Prove started in 1971. So we had that this year at PS 92 on 134th Street between Adam Clayton Powell and Frederick Douglass Boulevards in Harlem over the weekend. You know, and to tell you the truth, though, it hasn't been as active prior to the pandemic. You know, like each year for the last, I would say, 2 years since it opened back up, it's been more attended, but not like how it used to be. Before, we used to have people come, we used to have guards and nurses come from all over the country. Sometimes even, I know I met guards and nurses from England, Africa, Colombia, France. They come out for the show and prove, you know what I mean? So, but this year it wasn't really like that. But again, it was more attended than it's been in the previous couple of years, you know. But the main thing is there was a lot of events going on for the children. That's really what the show and prove is geared towards. It's for the children. So you know, show off their talents, their artwork, the poets, for those who are poets, you know, and a lot of educational aspects as well, you know. So it was a great weekend for that week, despite the rain. It rained and it kind of cut a few things short. You know.
Okay, but still, it was overall, you know, proof in the pudding. I like that, you know, show and prove. I know the gods on earth are very strong in what you do, you know, strive for excellence. It's always a community that I admire. So the show and prove is an annual event. So yeah, that's amazing. What else is going on in Harlem?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, the show and prove is the second weekend of each June. All right, and then after that is the following weekend. That was on the weekend of June 8th, and the 8th was a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. The following weekend, on June 14th, which is a Saturday, the Schomburg Center celebrated its 100th anniversary, and that's a major milestone because the Schomburg Library is one of the largest black libraries in the world, and definitely, if I'm not mistaken, I think it is the largest black African-centered library outside of the motherland. You know what I mean? And you know, it's great because people have to recognize that Schomburg himself was part of the Harlem Renaissance during the 1920s and 30s, and what he did before that, he was making his movements before that. He was part of the liberation movement in Puerto Rico, trying to get away from being a colony of the United States during that time. And what he did in 1925 was, well, prior to that, he had navigated the planet, mostly the Western Hemisphere, but he gathered a lot of African artifacts. And it was like, he had like paintings, books, you know, artwork, a lot of features, sculptures, things of that nature. And he accumulated over 10,000 items. And he got a grant from the Carnegie Hall as well as the New York Public Library. And he established the library, which is now on 135th Street and Malcolm X Boulevard. And that was in 1925. And he made his transition in 1938, if I'm not mistaken. I think June 10th, 1938. But that library is one of the largest black center libraries in the world again. And many people, like prominent scholars, have gone there to study as well. Like Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Joseph Ben Buchanan, a.k.a. Dr. Ben, you know, a lot of prominent scholars just in general. Because it's a thorough research center, and it's been updated in recent years. It's been updated to have, you know, up-to-date equipment, computer equipment, Wi-Fi, and databases, and, you know, for research and stuff. So that was like a prominent milestone that it reached, the 100th anniversary of the Schomburg Center. You know, and so that was definitely a great look. Then also, a few days after that was Juneteenth, which was celebrated with various events here in Harlem, as well as, throughout the 5 boroughs, but specifically in Harlem. Senator Cordell Clare, who's a very progressive politician. I don't even want to call her a politician, that's kind of disrespectful, but she's an elected official, and she held a Juneteenth event, as she does every year, and she held it here in Harlem, and it was very prominent and progressive, and she had gave out a lot of food and, just spoke about the progress that they're making in the community. And Senator Cordell Clare, she's an individual that I think, she don't need me to bring no attention to her, but I'd like to add on, I give credit to those who I feel deserve it. And she's definitely one of the progressive ones that's for the people. She's from the people and for the people. She came up under Senator Bill Perkins, who recently made his transition last year. And she comes from that same cloth, because as people should know, Mr. Bill Perkins was also a very progressive individual that he didn't ride with the machine. He was like on his own, in his own lane, and that's rare, because usually in politics, people like that are shunned and they don't really get a chance to, make any moves. But Mr. Perkins, he stayed in his own lane and was very grounded for the people, you know what I'm saying? So Senator Cordell Clare, she comes from that same cloth, and she's also doing similar work as well. So that was on for her Juneteenth as well.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm glad that you were able to attend those events, and we'll keep people updated on what's going on in and around Harlem. WHCR also has a community calendar. You can go on to WHCR.org and check out what's going on in and around the community. Most of the events in the community calendar happen in Harlem, but there are some that are outside of Harlem across the boroughs. So definitely check that out, and we'll be bringing you some reports on those things as well as we continue to be the voice of Harlem. This is WHCR 90.3 FM. We're going to get into a musical selection and come back with our interview with the artist, Jay Crush.
Peace.
Memories are that way.
Summer 84, I'm 11, you was 10. Me and Jeff Jolly leaving summer school at Hillside, headed to Garden State Farms to boost. That's what we were doing. Ran into you and your little sister Keisha, a bond started brewing. We ended up cooling. 1 year later, we in Glenfield schooling. I was b-boying and graffiti I was doing. As kids, we used to play every day, even weekends. So how did I miss you as an MC? Until the end of the school year, the talent show. MC Bruce, you could really flow. That was your name before you was fatal. You're the reason I rock. Like I said in the Claire, this was years before Pop. Can't believe you're gone. Rest in peace to you and Yacht. This is in memory of Cynthia Phillips, Aretha Denson, Carrie Wright, Usain Fatal, Yaki Gaddafi, Evelyn Hargrave, Gary Glover, Juanita Upshaw, Tariq Bussey. I was introduced to you by my cousin King Kenny, Bubble as well, and light-skinned Kimmy. Found out you went with my childhood friend Timby, Cheo cousin. You know back when we used to roll deep in the back of Bub's black Batmobile with the Phi Beta Zeta frat. Before I was Zulu, it was you and Vega, and his brother Kayam, he managed you and Raggedy Man. And I keep Doc Strange. Matter of fact, remember when he had the cookout in the back? That was the time I grabbed the mic and snapped. The first time that you heard me rap, you gave me a cosign, I never forgot that. You got signed and dropped No Complex. We shared the same DJ in peace, may you rest. This is in memory of Michael Morris Jr., Dietrich, Dedrick Holloman, my man D-Rock's mom, Aki Zaire. You used to bomb like Vietnam under the same name, Tame One. Even up in heaven, you're still Mama Tame's son. God rest your soul, rest in peace, kid. It's cause of you, I know what getting up is. 7th grade, I used to see your name up with porn and Too Nasty Nash. LTD was the crew, in 89, Bowie brought you up to Declare to Aunt Mint's house. Speaking of which, it was Declare where I introduced you to Fatal. Who knew you would've ended up doing a song with him, and you and L sharing the same manager with him. Artifacts on the wrong side of the tracks. I was there at the video shoot. Facts, word to Reeboks, your mom's pet black cat. You and L, two of the dopest of all time. It's only right that I'm on you in a rhyme. This is in memory of Tame One, Cool Country, Big Snuff, Mr. Tryman, Mr. Butler, Miss Crawley, Uncle Key, Terrence Harris, Brenda, Miss Parker, Mitchell Upshaw, Rudolph Phillips.
YGS forever.
Memories are that way. Memories are that way.
This is WHCR 90.3 FM. Welcome back. We're here with Brother Jay Crush, one of my close colleagues. We work on many projects together, who just dropped an EP. So I invited him on to the show this week to talk about this music project, but he's also a graffiti artist. He's also a writer, an overall talent, and a pleasure to be around. Just, a real chill guy. That's one of the things. Yes, of course, brother. I really enjoy your positive energy. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you. Let us know a little bit more about you, your background. We've been listening to you. We already heard your track, No Place Like Home and Memories, and we'll listen to Bad Man Crush at the end of the show here. But really great, chill music, right? Because it goes with your chill vibe. I love that. It's refreshing. Some people call it chill hop. And I'm just really excited to hear a project like this come out. So yeah, please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you produced this album the way that you did.
Okay, well, actually, my DJ, C. Scott, he actually did the production and the scratches. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna explain the process. But let me just start from the very beginning. I'm a b-boy as well. So basically, I used to always watch Rerun and Shabadoo from the Lockers. I used to watch them on TV, on What's Happening and Soul Train. You had a lot of people that would pop lock and they will pop or what have you. Electric Boogaloo, what they call. Over here on the East Coast, we just call it popping, but it's all tied in to b-boying, aka breakdancing. And when I was little, very little, I used to emulate what they were doing. And at the same time, I was fascinated with the writing on the walls. So there you have it, graffiti and the dancing side of hip-hop. That was my first love. Graffiti a little bit before I was dancing, but basically around the same time, so it's my first love. And as I got a little older, I say around middle school, my friend Hussein Fatal from Tupac's Outlaw Immortal Crew, he was rapping. And I just loved the attention he was getting on stage, and I just loved to hear him rap. And eventually I started rapping, and I made a record in 93. And I say 96, I became a hip-hop journalist. I started out writing for Rap Pages magazine, which is the West Coast version of the Source. It was like the Source's biggest competition back then. And a few years after that, I link up with you, and now I'm a part of the Behind the Scenes magazine family.
Yes, and it's been such a pleasure and an honor to work with you because you do a lot of our hip hop coverage, and you've grown up in the culture. I've been a little bit outside of the hip hop culture, kind of looking in. One, because of my Caribbean background, and two, by the time the music was really popular, it was a bit explicit, and my family was, more on the reserve side. So I didn't get exposed to hip hop like people who were, like you said, b-boy in middle school. So it is a very different dynamic, and you are one of the people among many people who actually got a chance to shape the culture in the early years. And you have a lot of knowledge of the hip hop culture, and it's been instrumental in the work that we've been doing with covering hip hop from the past and the present. It's really amazing when an artist is all around talent. That I didn't even know about the dancing. So when you're this all around talent, how do you kind of balance your talent in relation to what you put together as a project? And is there any difference, like you saying just doing it for the love of the culture, or, actually sitting down and producing a piece of work?
It's weird. Like, as hip hop is a part of me, like my arteries. So it's 24/7 with me. Like, I could be anywhere. I usually carry a notepad with me. I have a little black book, a small black book, a little sketchbook that graffiti artists use. They call it the Black Book. Very instrumental in the graph head's life. I have one of those with me usually, and wherever I'm at, I'm thinking. Like, I'm thinking of music, thinking of art, and I have my little Beats by Dr. Dre headphones, so, I'm in my own little world. When Scott sends me beats, I'm listening to them with the headphones, and then at the same time, I might be doing some graffiti, So
that's amazing. I was just, this past weekend, I was at an event, and it was called the Writer's Block, and it had a lot of different artists in our community, different authors in our community. And one of the authors was the brother Black Dot, Dwayne Brewster, a.k.a. Dwayne Brewster, who had a book recently that he put out. But one of the things that he talks about as another hip-hop, we say historian, really, one of the things that he said was interesting to me was that when hip-hop, and as it sounds to me, just listening to you, it sounds like it was a culture that evolved, but it wasn't a culture that people just kind of went with. It kind of came from internal out, because you can't think listening to be doing graphs, thinking about lyrics, like, and so what Black Dot was saying was that it was all one. Like, you didn't have a separation. Like, when you had a jam, it wasn't a jam unless the graph was involved, whether, the people were doing graph right there on the spot, or people came with graph that they did on their clothes or whatever. It wasn't like it is today, kind of, where when you think of hip hop or people say hip hop, you just go straight to the music. You just think the music.
Yeah, he's correct. It's very separated, and most people focus only on the MC and DJ element of hip hop. So that's the reason that I like put a little bit more attention into the graffiti and the b-boy element, which is the dancing element of it, because what people fail to realize is it's the graffiti element and the dance element, the b-boying element of hip-hop that actually launched the culture. The hip-hop culture is big the way it is because of the graffiti element and the b-boy element. Because the first hip-hop movies were about what? B-boys and graffiti artists mainly. They had rapping and DJs in it, but the movies were mainly about graffiti and the b-boys. And those, after seeing the hip-hop movies, is when the culture blew up. And not only that, you gotta remember, it was the b-boys that could dress good. They was always fly. So a lot of people they emulated how the b-boys was dressing. And he's right. You have a park jam, they're doing all the elements of hip-hop. Graffiti, they're b-boying, they're MCing. Definitely, you got the DJs, because they're providing the music. So you get all the elements in one.
That's really interesting. To me, again, I'm kind of like an outsider looking in to the hip hop culture, and it is unlike any other culture, especially here in modern times. It's a very, when you look at it, it's a very advanced culture because it came with all the things. We could talk about jazz, right? And maybe you have to read some sheet music or, who's a composer as opposed to someone who can just play by ear. So there's some nuances, there's some things in the jazz and who's cool enough to understand it, to get it, and then you had the, people that are into jazz and dress a certain way, but it's not that if you don't dress that way, you can't appreciate jazz or be in a jazz club. But
yeah,
when you go to, hip hop, there's a whole culture, and then of course it got monetized. So it got pushed into a category of quote unquote urban, right? Just to kind of throw a blanket over it. But it really came with all the things. It really was a holistic movement where people actually lived it, as opposed to what people would say, oh, it was art imitating life. It really, I think, at this point, it was like art coming alive. And I think that part of it is really undervalued because of the commercial success that hip hop has received. So a lot of things are distorted on the surface level. But there's people like you, people like us that do want to keep the culture alive and cover that and showcase that. So we're doing some great work with Behind the Scenes magazine. We just had a showcase. You just had your album release party, and we're going to be doing a lot more for the culture. And one of the things is that we always think about the next generation, right? What are we leaving for the next generation? Let me hear your thoughts on what we could do to keep hip hop authentic.
Well, one, we gotta get the babies. We gotta get them while they're young, and show them the right way of how it's done. We gotta show them that it's not just about money, definitely, and that it is a culture, it is an art form. It's not just like it's been turned into like a 9 to 5. It seems like it's more industrial, versus being an actual culture and art form. So we got to get the babies while they're young, and we got to just direct them in the right path and let them know that, they don't have to always talk about, violence and drugs and drinking and sex. It's more to life than that. I'm also a member of the Universal Zulu Nation, so God rest one of my Zulu elders, Lord Yoda X. God bless his soul. I remember telling him, I'm like, yeah, we gotta take it back to the 80s, in the 90s. He said, yeah, well, you can't do that. But you know what? I believe that we could. And it's kind of happening. Because at the end of the day, it starts with a mindset first. And wherever your mind goes is where you're going to go. So it's just as simple as, you know, we doing more hip-hop shows and events, whereas that we have the b-boying, the graffiti, we have the MCing, but it's not like the trap or drill or, you know, it's not negative. And the DJs are playing that, or what I call organic hip-hop. See, if the kids see positivity, then they're going to emulate it because the kids emulate what the grown-ups do. So if we doing positive stuff, they're going to do positive stuff. That's how we became hip-hop heads or what have you, because of what our elders was doing. And those were the beautiful days, like just going to a park jam and you know, seeing people rap, you know, seeing people do graffiti, seeing them dance, and hearing the DJs get busy. That made us want to do the same thing. It's either just as good or even better if we could, but it made us want to be amazing. It didn't make us want to shoot and fight and do all that. I mean, not saying that stuff didn't happen, but for the most part, there was too much positivity going on to be even thinking about fighting and shooting and, you know. So, like I said, we got to get the babies while they're young so they have the correct influences, you know. Like that, to me, that's our only hope, because we allowed them to go astray. Honestly, I think in 92 is when things, like after 92, to me is when things like started to go downhill. And that's inside and outside of hip hop.
What was that turning? Are you talking about a specific event or?
No, like just like mentality and everything. Like prime example. So I graduated from Montclair High School up in Montclair, New Jersey. I graduated in 91. So after 92 left, like to me, 92 was like the last of like the village, the last of the cloth that we're cut from, that like the village, like how they say it takes a village to raise a child, like respecting your elders, like all of that stuff. It seemed like after 92, all of that just went down the hill. Because like the stuff that I'll be hearing that was taking place in the school, I'm like, wow, we would have never did that, or we would have never carried on like that, or we would have never. And it just seemed like after 92, that's when it was just a lot more fighting, a lot more, definitely a lot more shooting. You know, and just things just started getting negative, you know, and the whole element of b-boying and graffiti, like stuff like that, was not, I wouldn't say fading, but it was kind of in the back, on a back burner. You know, they cry me 90s, that organic hip hop, but it was slowly but surely getting overshadowed by all the other stuff.
Okay,
you know, they even invented something called gangster rap. So because what ended up happening was, and I can honestly say this is like 89, 90. Brothers traded in their gold chains for African medallions. They started wearing dashikis. We were wearing beads.
Okay.
We were speaking about black unity, black history, black upliftment, black empowerment, brotherhood, sister.
Yeah, that was
Africa, the motherland.
That was
we had group.
That was around the time of like a different world, and like there were certain like other things happening in the culture that was kind of driving that. I wish I would have been, you know, a little more older around that time, because you got to really see that. Like what you're describing was for just like a slither of time, right? And as soon as like that was really about to be the thing. Like, even like when Will Smith first came out, you know, Queen Latifah, like that whole thing was going towards that. And so what you're saying is that that just switched with the introduction of gangster rap?
Yes, most definitely. They had to put some plants in the way. You know, we had X-Clan, Public Enemy, Native Tongue, Zulu Nation, KRS One, Poor Righteous Teachers. We had so many, and they was like, no, we got to break this up. Like they're like unifying. They're learning, because not only was it giving us lessons on our culture, but just make making us actually want to read a book, making us actually want to find out, wow, like, what was Malcolm X, like, how did he get to where he was at? How did Martin Luther King, like, they library and read. I even won a contest at the Montclair Library. Queen Latifah was the judge, and we had to do anything on Black history. I did a rap, but there was a couple of people that danced. There was one other rap group, and somebody did, there was a couple of poets, singers, but yeah, I won that contest, and I was rapping about Black history. So within that process, the library gave it, so I was always at the library, so if I had questions or anything, I would just go find an encyclopedia or a book on whoever, one of our great ancestors, and then I came up with the rap and won, and it was just, I'm like, wow, this is Queen Latifah, and it was at the height of the what they call conscious rap, or I'll say cultural rap. And here it is, Latifah's first album just came out, and I won this contest, and she was the judge. You know? So it's like, after that, it's like, no, we got to break this up, because they're starting to unify. They're not wearing gold chains anymore. They're not, you know, they're wearing dashikis. They're wearing African medallions now. We got to break this up. So let's promote NWA and Ice Cube and you know, the other gangster rappers that was out at the time or what have you. Like, yo, let's over promote that. And then look what happened. And then you had a lot of people that was once rapping about positivity. They became gangster rappers, some of them, you know. But that was an awesome time to be, especially in Jersey.
Right. And so you talk about Jersey Heights, especially like myself,
Yeah.
but spent a lot of time and also partially grew up in New York myself, and have lived in many places in the city, Long Island, and everything. But Jersey is, you know, originally where I was born and grew up in my young years. And Jersey always holds a special place in my heart. So your track leads out that. And tell me why that was important for you to do on this project.
Well, one, there hasn't been a New Jersey anthem. Well, I told Scott, yeah, let's definitely do a Jersey anthem. And it was a matter of, he played a couple of tracks and I picked that one. And I wrote the rhyme like right there. Right then and there. I was listening to it and I wrote the rhyme right then and there. And I wanted to tell my story as well. So I have a Caribbean background as well. My father was born in Manchester and then raised in Kingston. My mother's from Tuskegee, Alabama. So basically, they met in New Jersey. Now here I am. I was born in Ohio. And then after I was born, my mom had a spot in East Orange. So I started out my life in East Orange, and then she moved to Montclair, you know. and I'm still there, as I said in the song. But it's very important to me because, well, New York's my second home, but I'm like, you know what? Jersey needs more light, you know, because there's definitely a lot of talent here as well. There's definitely a lot of great people here also. You know, we play a major role in not only hip-hop, but Black history, American history, all of that. So I wanted to let people know, hey, there's no place like home, you know, and Jersey is my home, and yeah, I gotta like throw that anthem out there for y'all. You know,
I hear that.
I'm definitely Jersey proud. You know?
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, we got to be proud of, you know, like our home, our roots, where we come from, and that's one of the great things about the hip hop culture. It really allows people to be authentic. You don't have to front to be anything else, and it's really not respecting. You see what happened to Drake, but yeah, people want authenticity. I mean, it's all over now. I go to different seminars for business and marketing, and everything right now is about authenticity, how authentic you can be, because people don't want, you know, fakeness. Like, who would really want that, right? And it's become such a powerful thing. I mean, there was so much time of, you know, just covering up with makeup, covering up with this, or fronting, and, you know, people, I think it's like one of those things that where people were thinking that the front was better than really just being who you are. And one of the things that hip-hop gave to the world, like, it's okay to be who you are, even if you're broken, even if you're happy, even if you're, you know, whatever it is, just be you, and everybody's going to like you, love you because of that. And so that's just such a powerful thing.
It's very powerful because it was funny about hip hop at one time, like the 80s and 90s. Like, believe it or not, if you weren't different and if you didn't stand out, if you didn't bring nothing different to the table, it's like you wouldn't go anywhere. It's the opposite now. It's like everybody is cloning, you know. So it's like you gotta sound like everybody else. But it wasn't like that at one time. And another thing that was great about the golden era, about, you know, the times of the organic hip hop, is that it was like a buffet or a smorgasbord, because you had so many different varieties. If you wanted some De La Soul, you wanted some De La Soul on your plate, put some De La Soul on there. You could put you some Juice Crew on there. And even if you wanted a little bit of the rawness, the hardcore, you could put a little NWA. You could just want some lyricism, put DOC on there. If you just want some of the origin, put Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel and Run DMC on there, and Kumo D, you know. Kumo D interview coming soon, Behind the Scenes magazine, by the way. But, yeah, it was like a smorgasbord and a buffet. You had the varieties. Now you don't really have too much to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just important for us to broaden our horizon. I mean, again, like if we use the example of jazz, like there's some jazz, you know, they're just jazz heads, and, you know, that's what they do. Now, there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of collaboration, which I love to see with the artists, and not just among us, just collaboration and making really great music. I'm optimistic that there's going to be good music, especially as artists try to, again, be authentic in their space and kind of break away with Beyonce doing country. Like, okay, she's not a country artist, but she can do some country. You know what I mean? She's a country girl. So I think artists should really expand themselves in that way. And then that way we can get exposed to, you know, different genres and different forms of music, and also with collaborating with with different sounds, different people, different cultures. And we'll all be benefit from having great music.
But yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
You gotta, roots, you gotta take it back to that time where it was more versatile and just the vibe. Like in the 90s, you would walk past the street corner and you'll see brothers just fellowshipping. You'll see like about 5 or 7 brothers in a circle just bobbing their head. Each of them was sharing rhymes with each other. It was just, in the 80s, you would see the same thing, but only brothers would have a piece of cardboard or tile out there, and they're each sharing dance moves with each other. You'll hear brothers doing the human beatbox. Again, we were having so much fun, we didn't have time to think about fighting and killing and all that other stuff, because we was having fun. I'm from an era where even the tough guys used to get on the dance floor. You know what I mean? That's what they're trying to shoot and do all that stuff. We like, what? You can't dance better than me. Like, that's one of the reasons that b-boying even was invented. Our hip hop on a whole, it was created to keep us out of trouble. And what's sad, it seems like nowadays hip hop will get you. Well, no, not hip hop, but the rap music industry. The business of music get you in trouble.
Get you in trouble. Yeah, I think somebody
target
said.
us on the low.
Yeah, but somebody said something interesting, and I really had to think about that. They said one of the most dangerous professions right now is to be a rapper, but a commercial, part of the industry, and even street, local rappers. It has become very dangerous, and thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, this was, from my knowledge, a cultural movement that, not to say it was a distraction, but on a level, it was like, if you're doing something creative, then again, you don't have the time to even be in the streets to hate each other, like you're saying, because there's just people created a whole culture. And they said, no, 5 elements, right? And really brought forth something new and fresh to the world. And when you analyze it, and I don't know how intentional, but when you analyze it, it had the potential to bring a lot of peace, not only to our communities, but to all communities. It was about fun, right? You go to a gym, you're definitely going to have fun, and you're going to have a chance to show your creativity.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, with the commercial success of it, a lot of that has been lost. But again, like you said, we're going to be the examples. We're actually having a block party in the Bronx on July. BehindTheScenesMag.com for all the information on that. It's a free event for the community, and we will be having the 5 elements of hip hop being displayed, in full force. There's going to be vendors. There's going to be, some Caribbean, some reggae, some soca for all of our fans, some Afrobeat. We're going to represent for our amazing community.
Yes, sounds good.
Yeah, for sure. We're active. We practice it and preach it, okay? Look at us. That's what we do.
Like even that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, I was saying, even you spoke of, there was a heavy, reggae, Caribbean, it was a heavy Caribbean influence on hip hop as well.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
There's a lot of dope collaborations, even Nas and
Junior Gong.
man.
Yeah, and Damian Marley.
Damian Marley, yes, Damian Marley.
And that's a classic. And that's the great thing about Nas. He has like two classics really under his belt. He has, you know, Illmatic, his own. But I remember they did Summer Stage the year that album came out. And I was working promotions that year for a reggae company. And so we were out there promoting for a big event, one of the big concerts and stuff, for Labor Day and things like that. And we went to that venue, that show to promote. So we were outside and we were watching all the people come in, had a good look at who came out to attend. It was one of the most well-attended, one of those where it got filled up quick and people had to get turned away. And I was very surprised to see how many young people, and I mean the rainbow was out, you know. It was really beautiful. It was really, really beautiful to see. There was a lot of support for that album, and it became a classic. So you're absolutely right. So thank you so much for bringing that up. And we're gonna hear a little bit of that in the last track we're gonna play off of your EP, which is Bad Man Crush.
Yeah, crush man forward, crush man pull up.
That is so wonderful. So thank you so much for coming through to PJ's show.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. Tell the family how they can get in touch with you, find the EP, and listen and download and all that great stuff.
Well, my email is geepeej33@gmail.com. On IG, it's at GJPJ Crush. On Facebook, it's Goff, Goff J Crush Phillips. And we also have a music page on IG and on Facebook. That's YGS Music. And you can find us on Bandcamp, That's YGSmusicbandcamp.com. We have a video coming out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got a video dropping as well. And we're on YouTube as well. We're on YouTube as well.
All right, so y'all been working. Y'all been putting in the work. So we're definitely going to support your movement, support the true culture of hip-hop that is hitting all the 5 elements and bringing forth that true, authentic creativity. Again, thank you. Thank you, Crush, for coming through. We'll have you on again.
You're very welcome. Yes. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Of course, my brother. This is PJ's show with your host, Pojanee PJ Fleury, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place, on the Voice of Harlem, WHCR 90.3 FM.
No matter how hard it may be, we still here. God woke us up this morning. He's given us another chance to get it right. Let's move forward. Pull up. Can't stop now. We still got a ways to go, but we gonna get there. I need your undivided attention and I want you listening, cause I'm about to do some lyrical conditioning. About to run around the track the firstborn laid, similar to a marathon and decathlon. I'm like EP and P, cause I be housing. I keep it 100, no, I keep it 1,000. YGS Wildlife, New Jerusalem. Whack cats, I be banging them and bruising them. Still on my organic hip hop. I rip chop some own wild gymnasts, I flip this. Plus I'm a lethal weapon like Dan and Mel Gibson. You better dip, run, hurry up, get out of here before you end up in a jam. And I don't mean smuckers. All that mumble shit's for them. It's time to bring real talent back. What the bumper clad did, don't make me get violent, Jack. Back off. Crush man forward, crush man pull up. 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 If the crush man you want, then the crush man I am. Crush man get busy for other people, them jam like funk. Master flex, crush man I drop bombs while my DJ beats the NPC like a tom-tom. Plus he's the master of the scratch just like that. And all I know is grab the mic and attack. The lyrical terrorist keeping Jersey on the map. Essex County to be exact, but I rep the whole state and carry it on my back like Atlas. I break it down like a catalyst. I got bars for days, so you don't wanna battle this. Lyrics rattle off my tongue like the tail of a rattlesnake rattling. Crusher J is programmed for battling, and I can also make hit records. It's getting kinda hectic.
The young man that I'm going to introduce to you, a gentleman that should be a sensation. In fact, I know he'll be a sensation, and he should be an inspiration to us all, to us all, to us all, to us all.
Crush man forward, crush man pull up. 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 MC them just crush me clean to me mic. MC them just crush me clean to me mic. MC them just crush me clean to me mic. MC them just crush me clean to me mic. MC them just crush me clean to me mic. MC them just crush me clean to me mic. MC them just crush me clean to me mic. MC them just crush me clean to me mic. We just pulled off another one. I'm glad y'all enjoyed yourself. On behalf of MCJ Crush and DJ C Scott, we're glad you came.